Good day, everyone. Welcome to our presentation on hybrid campus hybrid. Oh man. Hybrid campus. The new model joining both on campus and remote learning into one solution. Point number 2.
I can't see my camera. Sorry, I dropped my clicker.
Well, he's a handsome devil.
Is that... Who are you?
That's me. I mean, it's not me, but, it's... You fell asleep. You're dreaming. This is all, figment and whatnot.
Well, why are you here? I need to learn about hybrid campus.
Why do you need to watch it? You've already got, Aruba on campus. You've already got all the building blocks in place.
Well, what do you mean?
Come with me. So if you look here, this is the route it takes, gets to here, and that's how we end up with everyone connected here on campus. Aruba is awesome. Write it down. So with Aruba, your remote options are Aruba wraps or remote access points, Aruba Via on your phone, or branch controllers for larger sites. They tunnel in, authenticate like everybody else, and it's as if they're sitting here on the network at USAO. Personal question.
Certainly.
Do you ever eat?
Do you ever not eat?
Touche.
So that's how we get connected anywhere. We can connect anywhere on campus?
Anywhere on campus. Anywhere off campus, too.
Off campus?
Anywhere, yes.
Anywhere.
Anywhere.
Anywhere, on or off campus.
Alright, so Sid, we're gonna... Sid. Sid?
Anywhere!
Yeah, sure.
Here?
Yeah. Anywhere. Nice.
Here?
What?
Here!
Oh! Yeah!
Great. So here?
Anywhere, Sid.
So, with the Aruba access points, we're connected all across campus.
Yes, sir.
And also, we're connected off campus.
Yep, with the remote working solution.
And with ClearPass, it's all secure.
Just like you were right here on campus. Yes, sir.
That's terrific.
You know what? I agree. And I think this is going to be the beginning of a beautiful friendship, Sid.
Yeah, but don't touch me, please.
Right. In conclusion, we would like to thank you for your time this today, as we presented on hybrid campus, and we hope you'll join us next time and you'll reach out with any questions.
Bye. Oh, but that's done. Let's, this still on?
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining our session. We are CBTS and we hope you enjoyed our video. We recognize that technology conversations can cause people to doze off, so we hope our comic relief provided some entertainment. Today, we will have a brief panel discussion that outlines the ways in which our CBTS solutions improve student, teacher, citizen experience in their communities. Then we will hear a more serious message from Sid Hudson, Vice President of University Advancement at USAO, that talks to the CBTS partnership and how we were able to solve challenges the university faced. Now we begin our panel discussion, but first let's do a quick round of introductions. I'm Amanda Keller, Field Marketing Manager for CBTS. Carol, do you want to introduce next?
Hi, I'm Carol Miller. I'm a pre-sales engineer for CBTS.
And I'm Tom Tackett. I'm a senior solution architect with about 30 plus years of experience doing computer networking.
And I'm Brennan Clinch, the goofball from the video, as well as a solutions architect peer to Tom, working on Aruba Networks. Looking forward to talking today.
I actually was the engineer that was originally introduced to the team at USAO. My first memories of USAO were talking to them about the issues that they were having with their existing network and the kinds of things that they really wanted to accomplish for their students. And that's been a couple years ago. And as you can see, that doesn't look like that anymore. So Brennan and Tom, I was hoping you guys could take just a few minutes, tell us a little bit about the kind of technology that was deployed there and how that made the life of both the USAO staff and the students so much better.
So the new age of wireless computer networking is here, and it changes on a regular basis, right? So what USAO had in place was more than likely adequate for them at some point in their career, right? But now times have changed. The necessity for wireless communications, let's face it, when you go into universities, kids don't want to have to be tied to a cable. Everybody's wanting to go to a wireless connection. And so the idea was to take and create a more ubiquitous Wi-Fi coverage than they had. One of the things, and I'll bring it up now, one of the things you'll see that I really appreciate about our impact on the campus, prior to the uplift in the technology, no one could walk outside their dorm, much less even inside the dorm. In certain bedrooms, they were locked out of being able to connect to the wireless network. So our task was to, first of all, go in and assess the situation, determine what the coverage needs were, and then devise a plan and a strategy to get them from where they are to where they need to be. They're now able to roam from room to room. They're able to attach as many devices as they want on the wireless. We were able to appreciate a substantial reduction in wired ports as a result of it. And the cost savings for all of that just compounded one on top of the other.
And I would add too, one of the things that impressed me most, I came in, as I tend to do, after all the hard work was done, thanks to Tom and Carol. But I remember going on site, and you see some of our switches in the videos. And to Tom's point, while there is a great reduction in switch ports and an overall move to wireless, it's sort of empowered by these incredibly powerful switches. And to speak to our ability just to be more than just, hey, here's your switch, here's your AP, good luck, we're done. We actually helped them revise their housing for the switches in all these dorms where they were not necessarily in the best environment for switch proficiency in terms of operation, to put it lightly. And so we were able to come along the backside and say, hey, instead of just giving you your switch and saying good luck making it work in those closets, let's re-examine the closets, let's re-examine the cable runs, the fiber runs, make sure our distances are good. Environmentally, as consultants, saying, okay, it's more than just the hardware. This is a whole view of what's going on in the network. And that's coming on site. That's probably what impressed me most about what we were able to do there.
What about, I know there's a lot of questions, and I've had a lot of questions, and I don't necessarily work with networks every day, where there's a lot of concern about putting all these kids on a wireless network where anything can be displayed. I know that we did some things that were really special around security here. What kinds of things were put in place to help protect these kids that, quite frankly, could be used in any education environment or any business environment for that matter?
I'll feel that way because this wasn't the first time we've had this situation hit us, right? We had another university up in Northern Ohio, and the guys on the third floor were casting inappropriate material down to the second floor in the girls' dorm. And so what we established were air groups that could isolate my devices from them so they couldn't, take over and hijack my gear, my equipment, right? That alone was a win for that university. On top of that, though, we added ClearPass to the equation, and USAO now has a platform by which it's dynamic allocation, dynamic segmentation. Every session is now governed by a single source of authority. And that authority says, okay, you are a member of the engineering team. You can have carte blanche access to anything in the network. Or you're a student. So now we have to protect, our internal facing, maybe the bursar's office or the grade books or whatever. We're going to isolate those into segment that you can't get to. So that there's not this cross-pollination or east-west traffic capabilities, because the Aruba access points and Aruba controllers have a layer 7 firewall built into every one of them. And so we have the capability to apply firewall policies at the ingress of a wireless connection way back at the AP that can stop the traffic before it gets on the network.
I know that this environment's been in place now for a year and a half, something like that. And the conversation is changing a little bit with USAO. Can you talk a little bit about some of the other things that we can bring to the table once the base environment is in place and stable and secure?
Absolutely. And that was what we were kind of highlighting in the video was that there is a fundamental principle in the way that Aruba does things, and that there's a flexibility to it. You have your fundamentals, you have your security, you have your switching, and you have your WLAN. But from there, once you have those in place, there's really, the world is your oyster, right? And to your point, not only are we entering those conversations with USAO, but this is coming up in every conversation with not just with schools, but businesses, federal. I mean, it's an issue across the board with everything that happened with the pandemic. How do we now flex that environment and not just to be so hyper focused on the campus only? And to that end, that's where the whole term, hybrid campus or hybrid workplace comes from. But there's a few ways in which you can go about that. USAO has a controller-based network, right? It's a more traditional campus-based controller-based network. And with that, it comes the ability to bring in things called remote access points. And I've got a couple here. Here's one, just for fun. They've got some Ethernet ports on the bottom. And really, I say here's a wrap, but every Aruba access point, even the ones that are hanging on the ceiling, can function as a wrap. And that's really referring to more of a mode of operation, wherein, for instance, I've got this here, right? And Tom and I have an arrangement. I think Tom has a controller there. And there are times when we go to demo this, he's sitting in his house. I've got this at mine right here on this desk. I'll set it down. turn it on, and it goes over my internet, builds a secure tunnel all the way over to Tom, add that controller, pulls the SSIDs and all the security and all the policy that we've got sitting on that controller, and it acts as though I'm sitting in Tom's house and I'm actually here right at my desk. And the same principle applies on campus. If you have, let's say, a student house that's off-site, where you want to have wireless access, but you want them to be as if they're in the classroom, but it's for everybody, that's where a wrap would come into place. If you have, let's say, an annex building that's maybe a few miles down the road or anywhere really, that's tied into the corporate network of the university or of the business, we have something called a branch controller, where we can deploy multiple access points as just like a normal building, but that same principle applies. It's using that branch controller to then tunnel back to the campus or the core network into that head end controller, and it's working that way. And then finally, road warriors have been a little less these days, but as things are starting to ramp back up and people are looking for more ways to do it, let's say you don't even need a whole access point. Maybe we just need it for one computer. And that's where the Aruba VIA license comes into play. It's a soft VPN client that you can put on a PC, on a Mac, or on a phone, any smartphone. We have the fundamentals in place. Just bring your remote options to the table and we can get anybody online as if they're right there in the office. And it's really making some impressive strides with what we're able to do at USAO and other places as well.
I know that this conversation with USAO has kind of evolved over the last year and a half. And we're now talking about how this network could even potentially be brought into the community where they are. Yes, it's a little bitty town in Oklahoma called Chickasha, but it's a little town that's trying to build itself up. And there's been a lot of conversations, I believe, about how we can do some really cool things to let the students be more visible in the town and how they might work together. Can you tell me a little bit about that? Because I wasn't part of all those conversations.
Using the same approach that Brendan was talking about of having a consistent user experience regardless of where you may sit, we can now take that and extend it into the city. There are discussions around some better use of the food plan, right, for the kids, and allowing the university to extend that marketplace out to the local businesses. And if the kids don't want to have Taco Tuesday on campus, they can then go out to the local pizza place and grab a big pepperoni pizza, right? The community wins, the local businesses win, the tax base is increased for the city. Economic development can be spurred by new businesses coming into town and collaborating with the university and with the city to make it all happen. There's a lot of ways to leverage this for the city that we're currently discussing with the town, and trying to drive revenue for the entirety of the city. Because when the city wins, the university wins, and when the university wins, the city wins.
It sounds like there's some analytics involved in this, and I know that I read something about there being some additional analytic capabilities that's available with Aruba, but I don't know that I really understand what that is or how that might play in this environment.
There's a couple of ways to pull analytics from Aruba. And again, one of the things that I'm a big fan of with them is not just the flexibility, but also they're a very open vendor, right? They like to share information because they know the more information you have as the customer, however you want to use it, the better. And that's poised them, again, very well when we hit this situation that we're all in right now, where we're having to do things like contact tracing, and we can use things like Wi-Fi triangulation built into the platform that already exists. There's a couple of ways to look at it. There's an on-prem management software called Airwave. There is a cloud component called Aruba Central. And both of them can perform those kinds of analytics. They can perform other kinds of analytics that are more to do with, performance and AI and, machine learning kind of thing that can give you a lot less time to remediate issues that pop up, right? It can say, hey, look, we have this whole global pool of what we know about networks. And as you all know, Aruba and HPE are one. So they're both taking their global knowledge of enterprise and SMB and commercial networks and saying, hey, look, based on what we see from your network, you guys remind us of, these hundreds of thousands of other campuses just like you. And we've noticed this issue in the past, and this is how we remediated it then. Here's a suggestion from how you might do it then. So for the help desk people, when I was in network engineering, that would have been killer. If I would have had, a TAC engineer just sort of built into my management software that I didn't have to open a ticket or whatever, I could just, hey, yeah, maybe we need to turn down the volume on that AP or turn up the volume on those two, stuff like that. It just makes deployment and things like contact tracing and things like remediation, it's all built into the platform straight out the gate. It's really impressive.
Amanda, I think that's most of the questions that I had for these guys.
Great. Thank you so much, Carol, Brennan, and Tom. This concludes our panel session. And finally, we'd like to share one more video describing the positive student experience and impact our solutions had at USAO. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.
The University of Science and Arts of Oklahoma is a public liberal arts college. We had a number of issues in IT, and that's where CBTS really fit in because they had that broad range of things that they could bring to us and to be a good partner.
They decided to have us look at their whole IT infrastructure. We determined several things that needed to be fixed, including the servers, the storage, the networking, a lot of the software and so forth. And we came in, consulted with them and what the university was looking to do ultimately. The servers, for instance, were outdated. They needed updating in order for them to be able to use new software and capabilities for their accounting systems here at the university, as well as for students.
One of the big problems we had is we had horrible wireless, and this was costing us students. People were like, I can't get on the network, I'm going to look at somewhere else. And now we're at the forefront and we have the potential to do a lot of things that are very important for attracting students in the future. And CBTS was very good about not just, we're going to fix your problem for today, but we're going to put you in a position to where you're going to be able to build to tomorrow to be able to stay one step ahead.
The Aruba networking gear and the Alliance servers were able to bring to the student population greater performance, greater capabilities of doing things in their student studies. We have heard comments about the students, especially around the network, being able to do things that they weren't able to do, like being able to roam from building to building in the campus, stay connected.
We've been a longtime partner with Aruba, and Aruba has really thrived in that higher education space. And so when we started looking at their infrastructure and how can we allow so many people to connect all the different devices to the network, we thought, okay, this is the best solution.
The idea here is that this technology used to be available to the Fortune 100s, and that's it, almost exclusively. And now a small 1 to 2 access point mom and pop shop on the street can experience the same level of network security, network access control, performance that a Fortune 100 company used to be able to only afford.
It's one of the things that's helped us turn the tide in recruiting students, and now we have something we can really show off.